of America, and they don't like most of the Trump voters because they are Americans. And De Niro, how stupid is he without a script? Isn't that amazing? I used to think, wow, that guy's brilliant. But once you take the words away from him, he is so stupid. Then when he goes, impeachment will make America great again, and everybody's, how intellectually deprived he is. He's a coke-addled simpleton, without a script. It is hysterical.
Robert De Niro wasn't the only target of Greg Gutfeld's sharp wit, but he certainly felt the full force of it. With a verbal precision that outdid any Hollywood script, Gutfeld dismantled him entirely. What could have been a minor clash turned into a complete public takedown in under 5 minutes, shattering De Niro's tough guy image as if it belonged in the 1990s. The true impact wasn't in any single punchline. It was the mix of raw truth and biting humor. Gutfeld transformed decades of manufactured outrage into a relentless running joke, sharper than the reviews for De Niro's recent box office flops, and tore through his inflated ego with ease. This was no polite debate. It was a brutal roast. Armed with smirks and unflinching honesty, Gutfeld exposed the hollowness behind De Niro's angry posturing, leaving him completely silenced.
Last night, an elderly, confused man went missing in New York. Luckily, a band of self-satisfied elitists found him babbling on the street, threw some pants on him, gave him a stage.
Oh my God.
I'm gonna say one thing. Trump.
It kills me. Talk about persuasive. Really, I was on the fence about Trump, but then I decided to really listen to one of the great generational leaders of American pop culture, and the clenched fist at the end, that really drove it home. It looked like he was pressing a 2-pound weight in a Jenny Craig commercial.
Oh my God.
Look at it again. It's so...
Greg Gutfeld didn't come to chat. He came to strike. With a torrent of words, he stormed in, not aiming for kindness, but ready to strip away Hollywood's polished facade and expose its glittering deceit. At the center of this verbal storm stood Robert De Niro, who prides himself on being the moral compass of the red carpet elite, the same man who thinks shouting political slogans in a tuxedo counts as meaningful action. Gutfeld needed no cameras, velvet ropes, or flashing lights. Just 3 minutes of sharp logic, cutting humor, and a razor-edged mind was enough to send the audience into fits of laughter and reduce De Niro's inflated ego to sparkling confetti.
Robert De Niro's 29-year-old child, Aaron, has come out as transgender. When the press asked her for comment, she said, "You talking to they, them?"
If you enjoyed this film, don't forget to hit the bell icon and subscribe for more incredible movies like it. As usual, it all started when Robert De Niro tried once again to play America's self-appointed moral conscience. A second interview, a dramatic meltdown, and a performance that felt more like a desperate misfired Oscar audition than genuine expression. It was hard not to wonder whether he was aiming for an acting award or simply trying to secure a front row seat at the Democratic National Convention. There, he ranted like a man outraged, insisting that Americans should think for themselves without ever consulting him, of course.
And the star of Dirty Grandpa, Robert De Niro, getting censored by The View after raging like a bull who saw a red MAGA hat.
And they might think that it's going to make their life better, or they just want to, excuse my French, it's almost like he wants to do the worst that he could possibly do to show this country.
Jesse, I find that he's smartest when they drop his audio.
Then, calm and collected, Gutfeld stepped in with his trademark smile that seemed to say, the internet is about to explode. He started with a sharp, effortless jab. De Niro, these days, isn't as dramatic as he once seemed. The room erupted in laughter. He came across like nothing more than a loud Yelp review in a suit. One of his over-the-top rants about something as trivial as a misplaced Starbucks lid barely resembled a useful review at all. Gutfeld wasn't done. The panel roared as he continued his scalding takedown, each line sharper, funnier, and more damaging than the last. What had started as De Niro's anger became pure comedic gold, transforming his indignation into unstoppable laughter.
They can't see it themselves, and they're not surrounded by people telling them that they have a problem, and they lack self-awareness because everybody either tells them they're wonderful or wants to sell. So he has no clue what he's doing, and he's upset over the emotional nature. His anger is emotional about Trump. It's nothing practical.
Watching it unfold was mesmerizing. The once renowned Dyro, known for crafting nuanced, memorable characters, now seemed reduced to a single lackluster persona. Like an irate old man demanding the weather apologize to him, he shouted at the clouds. But Gutfeld's humor went far beyond simple insults. He held up a mirror to the absurdity. The audience's reaction was brutally honest and uproarious. The once distant, untouchable movie star had become that uncle at Thanksgiving, pontificating as if MSNBC were divine revelation. Gutfeld didn't stop there. "Look, I love Dyro in Taxi Driver," he said with a laugh. "And though I adored him in Goodfellas, his greatest performance might have been convincing us he's more than just the angry guy with clenched fists." These days, whenever Dyro speaks, it's as if a high school theater club recently assigned a politics unit is mocking him. Leaning in for the kill, Gutfeld dropped his voice. This is the guy who says he wants to punch Trump in the face. Assault Trump? From a man who hasn't thrown a punch since they needed CGI and 6 stuntmen? The audience erupted, and Hollywood got the message loud and clear. Dyro had been thoroughly roasted.
Of course, the real story is how accusations of Trump's nutty behavior always ends up with the accusers acting nuttier. De Niro calls Trump crazy as he goes crazier. Adam Schiff calls Trump a liar as he makes up quotes. Dems talk about undermining institutions as they try to undermine an election. But when asked for reasons why Trump shouldn't be president, all Bobby had were sputtering F-bombs. His resistance had run out of script.
The truth is, those who label Trump as unhinged often end up looking just as unhinged themselves. As Trump's antics escalate, Dyro calls him insane. When Trump fabricates quotes, Adam Schiff calls him a liar. In attempts to undermine elections, others talk about destroying institutions. But Dyro, his sole response to why Trump shouldn't be president is an endless string of expletives. The script for his resistance basically writes itself, and let's be honest, if Dyro tried to throw a punch today, his shoulder would probably give out immediately. The studio audience erupted in laughter. Gutfeld, shrugging as if stating the obvious, gave a sly smirk before becoming serious. "Let's talk about real courage," he said. While Dyro's fans cheer each time he drops an F-bomb as if he's cured cancer, he's yelling at a president who isn't even in office. That's not bravery. It's a mix of self-righteous tantrums and political karaoke. The most absurd part? The media praises him as a revolutionary hero. He's just another wealthy actor shouting the same lines from Beverly Hills, wearing $4,000 shoes that cost more than most people's rent, and thinking that a teleprompter lecture counts as resistance. Gutfeld could only shake his head and smile at the spectacle unfolding before him.
Time to reflect on how Americans fought and died so that we may enjoy the freedoms guaranteed to us by a democratic government. A government that, as President Lincoln said, of the people, by the people, for the people, shall not perish from the earth. Under Trump, this kind of government will perish from the earth. I don't mean to scare you. No, wait, maybe I do mean to scare you. If Trump returns to the White House, you can kiss these freedoms goodbye.
Despite their obsession with critiquing ordinary people, these Hollywood elites rarely live like them. Think about it. How often has Robert De Niro taken a coach ride, done his own grocery shopping, or waited in line at the DMV without threatening to sue the pilot for making too much noise? Taking a sip of coffee, Gutfeld raised an eyebrow and got straight to the point. Dyro warns that Trump supporters are dangerous, yet this is the same man who built a career glorifying hitmen, criminals, and maniacs. Now he claims the real threats are a tax cut and a red hat. Talk about a warped moral compass. By this point, Gutfeld wasn't just roasting, he was peeling away the glittering facade of celebrity hypocrisy, one hard truth at a time. Here's the kicker: if you don't find yourself nodding at every outrage declaration from Dyro, congratulations, you're not alone. The same actor from Dirty Grandpa declared, "You are now the enemy of decency." The audience erupted in laughter, and Gutfeld grinned as if landing a knockout punch. As he waited for the next laugh, he asked, "Have you caught Dyro in any recent interviews?"
Idiot is the president. The guy is a fool. Our government today, with the prompting of our baby in chief, has in chief, I call him.
That's some reliable source you got there. This is what moms call bad language, or what producers call great TV. The plan: get an irrational figure at peak derangement and goad him into snapping. It's like cabaret for the chronically obsessed.
Dyro has grown noticeably quieter. Like a raccoon trapped against a leaf blower, every sentence feels like a complaint. Ask him a simple question and he reacts as if you've declared war on his espresso machine. Then, in a surprising twist, Gutfeld laid out the facts plainly. Trump hasn't unsettled Robert De Niro. People simply no longer treat his opinions as important, and that frustrates him deeply. He's bitter because deep down, he knows the spotlight has faded. Sean Penn peaked in the 1990s, and De Niro's current relevance is largely sustained by his own political appearances. Gutfeld leaned back with a grin as if he just swept the floor clean.
Robert De Niro graced the knitting circle in hell known as The View, where he tried to link random thoughts into a sentence. Joy was there to wind him up, since he's played some of the most unredeemable characters.
You have played some of the most really unredeemable characters. Travis Bickle was a psychopathic taxi driver. Jake LaMotta, who used to beat his wife, and he was in The Raging Bull. Is Trump worse than they are?
To me, he is. He has no understanding that I can see of the outside world other than anything around him. He has no idea of what his purpose in life is as the president should be, and that is to pull the country together, to be for the people, to heal wounds, not to open them up and pour salt on them.
De Niro clearly has thought about this. More so than his career, his choice of roles is now down to cinnamon and...
De Niro may have thought he could storm into the political arena and make a strong impact, but you can bet he'll be yelling at a camera, storming off a set, and demanding retribution after a takedown like this. Meanwhile, someone is quietly searching Google for Gutfeld's ratings and his 5 previous box office flops. Gutfeld didn't need anger or shouting. Using sharp wit and relentless honesty, he completely dismantled De Niro. The irony? This is the same persona that once brought De Niro fame, but this time no Hollywood screenwriter crafted the script. It was written by harsh reality, and De Niro wasn't the star of the show. He was the punchline. The most absurd part? De Niro genuinely believes he's a threat. He's the kind of figure typically portrayed as a criminal on TV, not a revolutionary trending on Twitter. Gutfeld leaned in, grinning. "I get it," he seemed to say. De Niro wants to matter, but now, all he really has is time, and maybe the urge to shout at clouds. Once demanding artistic standards, he now finds himself starring.
Instead, he's obsessed with these hypothetical what-ifs that Trump is going to keep hold on to power. None of these things are...
in unwelcome sequels. When his projects fail, he blames politics instead of acknowledging the obvious. Audiences simply aren't buying what he's selling anymore. The panel couldn't stop laughing, not out of malice, but because the truth hit hard. Then Gutfeld shifted gears. While his tone remained mock serious, it never shouted, "Truth bomb incoming." De Niro continued to accuse Trump of bullying, claiming it was a threat to democracy. Yet Gutfeld pointed out that De Niro's entire political strategy seemed to boil down to complaining and threatening to lash out at interviewees as if they disturbed his nap. On the topic of moral authority, Gutfeld quipped, "Then I'm a vegan life coach," sending the audience into hysterics. And he wasn't finished. He presented the hard, humorous facts. CNN's credibility has waned.
Article that you sent me about the last nights of John Belushi and how De Niro was there and just basically partied with him and then split. And it's just like, that's now I just think of him as a really stupid guy.
Well, he's got The Irishman coming out. That looks pretty good.
I'm gonna go see it.
Yeah, you should go see it.
And the same man who made his fortune portraying rebels, gangsters, and rule breakers now clutched his pearls. As Gutfeld wrapped up, he broke into laughter, leaving the audience completely captivated. Robert De Niro, once famous for playing mobsters who handled enemies with cold precision, now issues threats on television as if that could somehow safeguard America. Frankly, I've seen harsher Yelp reviews for soggy tacos. We can all respect his legacy in acting, but watching his recent interviews is like watching someone argue with a chair. There's passion, yes, but clarity is sorely lacking, and somehow the chair is winning. As Gutfeld watched, his face lit up with laughter. De Niro's rants sound like scenes from Angry Man Saves America, but each tirade feels like a deleted sketch from Meet the Three, Midlife Crisis. Even his political supporters mutter,
To reflect on how Americans fought and died so that we may enjoy the freedoms guaranteed to us by a democratic government. A government that, as President Lincoln said, of the people, by the people, for the people, shall not perish from the earth. Under Trump, this kind of government will perish from the earth. I don't mean to scare you. No, wait, maybe I do mean to scare you. If Trump returns to the White House, you can kiss these freedoms.
Bob, maybe go to bed or read a book. Please stop these long interviews. Gutfeld wasn't angry. Roasting him was effortless. In fact, it almost felt like a competitive sport. Watching an adult man turn his fury into a self-proclaimed Shakespearean performance feels like watching a slow-motion workout. Then, suddenly, the final blow landed, delivered by Greg Gutfeld. Not just a strike, but a verbal punch that stuck. Greg declared, "Dyro believes he is America's conscience, but he isn't. Whether it's the voicemail you ignore, the commercial you skip, or the grandfather who repeats the same story at every meal. Now he's begging for applause in a resistance t-shirt." The truth was harsh. Politics didn't break Dyro. He did, by confusing rage with insight, volume with wisdom, and fame with immunity from critique. Gutfeld, however, was clearer than any drunken tirade Dyro had ever unleashed, and his humor was sharper than Dyro's latest analyses. Dyro arrived full of energy, but Gutfeld met him with candor, wit, and unflinching facts. In the end, it wasn't just Dyro who was outmatched, it was the world watching. And Dyro, he completely missed it.